Hi there, I'm Wendy and welcome to my channel where I share crochet tutorial videos for my projects and techniques. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how I make my corner to corner crochet into a rectangular shape compared to the traditional square shape. I'll be using UK stitch abbreviations, but the only stitches that you'll be using will be making a chain and the UK treble stitch. So if you use USA stitch terms, this means a USA double crochet stitch. I'm using two colours of a standard UK double knitting yarn, and this one is Stylecraft Special DK, and along with that I'm using a 4mm hook, but you can use any weight of yarn for your corner to corner crochet as long as you're using the corrulating size crochet hook. I will also be using a padlock style stitch marker, but you can use anything else just to mark one corner of your work. So that could be a safety pin or a separate piece of thread, a hair clip, or even a small jewellery finding. Just something to mark one side of your work. And along with that, I've got a small pair of scissors, and afterwards, when you finished your corner to corner, you will want to have a wool type darning needle so that you can sew in your ends. If you're new to corner crochet, I'll add the link in above and in the description notes below for my step-by-step tutorial for starting this method from the very beginning. And just quickly, if you're new to my channel, then please take a moment to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you get to hear when my videos go live, and it would be great if you gave me a thumbs up with the like button as well. This is the left-handed video, so if you're right-handed, I'm going to pop a link in above here now and in the description notes below to take you to the right-handed video. So the starting point for this tutorial is to work your corner to corner in the usual manner until the edges are going to be the width of your rectangle. So this is the length of the rectangle and this shorter edge here is the width. So if I lay my corner to corner that I've worked in the normal manner on top, you can see now that that has reached the width of the finished rectangle that I'm going to make. Now, don't forget, if you need to have a refresher or you need to start from scratch with your corner to corner, I'm going to pop a link in above here now and in the description box below that will take you to my step-by-step tutorial from starting corner to corner crochet from scratch. For my method of working a corner to corner rectangle, I'll be making the bottom corner point between two rows of the same colour. So for me, this is the pink colour yarn, and I'll have worked one row in this colour and then be ready to make the corner point. My corner to corner sample here is 7 blocks wide, but you can use this method to make any size of your choice. I've also used two colours for this sample, but you can use as many colours as you wish, just changing colours every 2 rows. This will be the decreasing side of my work, and I'm going to place a stitch marker here to act as a little indicator for me to remember which side I'm working on, and the opposite side of my work where the strands of yarn are hanging away, that will be the increasing side edge of my work. So the next thing that I'm going to do, if I lay that on top again, you can see that this is going to be the length of the rectangle, and I'm going to pop a stitch marker just along the edge that I've just finished working here, and I'm just going to pop it in the front, and that is just going to be a reminder for me that this is going to be the side of my crochet that I'm decreasing. So the way that this is going to work is that at this side edge, we're going to be decreasing on every row, and on this side edge here, we're going to be increasing. We're now going to work the setup row to create the bottom corner. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn my work and slip stitch across the 3 treble stitches that we have here in pink. So that's just a slip stitch in the first treble, and in the second treble, and then a slip stitch in the third treble. So I'm now back to the chain space at the side of these 3 trebles. So I'm just going to make 3 chain and work my 3 trebles in that chain space. So that's my 3 trebles worked, and now I can just work along this row till I get to the end of the row and then make a standard increase. So now you can pause the video until you've reached the end of the row. So I'm now at the last 3 chain space at the end of my row, so I'm going to make my slip stitch as normal, and as this edge hasn't got the stitch marker in it, I know that in this 3 chain space I can make my 3 chain and 3 trebles. So that's my first, my second and my third. But when I get to the last 2 stitches left on my hook on that last treble that I've made, I'm going to change colour. So before I finish off the stitch, I'm going to take my scissors and cut the yarn, leaving enough length to darn in, and finish off making that treble in the new colour, and that will give me my seamless colour change. Now I'm going to work an increase side on this next row. So I'm going to make 6 chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And then I'm going to miss the first 3 chain. And in the last 3 chain leading back to my work in the new colour, I'm going to work 1 UK treble in each chain. So that's my first UK treble, and then my second UK treble, and my third UK treble, and that's just making a standard increase that you would normally do when you're working corner to corner. Then I can just flip my work and I can see that this little group of trebles is just going to fit in nicely, and I can just link it to the chain space here, the 3 chain space, after my first 3 pink trebles. So I'm going to make my slip stitch, and that's connected it, and I'm ready to go making my 3 chains and 3 trebles into that chain space. So that's my first treble, my second treble, and my third. So now I'm going to continue the row as I normally would do, making a slip stitch into the 3 chain space here that's just after the next 3 trebles. And after making that slip stitch, we're just going to be making 3 chain and 3 trebles into that chain space, and I'm going to work all the way along until I've worked my last set of 3 trebles here, and I'm ready to finish off my edge where I'll be decreasing, and I know I'm going to be decreasing because that's where my stitch marker is. So I'm going to meet you back here when I'm ready to work this last step here, taking me towards the straight edge. So I've now got towards the end of the row, and I'm just going to link into my 3 chain space here, and I'm going to make my slip stitch and 3 chain, and then make my 3 trebles. So that's my second treble, and that's my third. Now I've reached the side edge of my work, and I don't want to increase, I want to be working along a straight edge. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to join with a slip stitch into this last 3 chain space at the side edge. So I just join with a slip stitch here, and then I can turn my work around, and then I'm just going to slip stitch across the top of the 3 trebles. So I'm slip stitching into the first treble and into the second treble and into the third treble. And now I'm at my chain space. So I'm just going to make a slip stitch into the chain space, and I'm ready to make my first 3 chain and 3 trebles. So that's my 3 chain and my 3 trebles. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And you can see now that this is creating the straight edge that we're wanting to achieve. So now I can just join with a slip stitch to the next set and make my 3 chain, followed by my 3 trebles into that chain space. And then I'm going to continue in exactly the same manner all the way till I get to the end of the row to make an increase edge on this side of my work. You can now continue working these 2 rows until your corner to corner rectangle has reached its finished height. Just remember to work a decrease on the side of your work where you've inserted the stitch marker, and you'll be working an increase on the side of your work where you have the threads hanging away. The samples that I'm working on here are 9 blocks high, but you can work your corner to corner rectangle to any height that you wish. I'm going to make my top corner at the end of working 2 rows in the same colour, and this is the side of my work where I have the threads of yarn hanging away, and it's the opposite side of my work to where the stitch marker is inserted. So I'm now coming towards the end of the row, and this time I want to turn this into the top corner of my rectangle. So I'm going to work my last 3 chains and 3 trebles into this 3 chain space here, and then I'm going to turn around and finish off the corner of my rectangle. So I'm going to join with a slip stitch and make 3 chain. So that's 1, 2 and 3, and then I'm going to work my 3 trebles. So that's my first, and that's my second, and that's my third. But I want this to be the top corner of my work, so all I'm simply going to do is I'm going to make 1 slip stitch into the 3 chain space at the very top edge. So I'm going to make that slip stitch, and then I'm going to turn my work and work along those 3 trebles, making the slip stitch again to move my yarn back to the right point to start the next row. So that's a slip stitch into the first treble, the second treble, and the third treble. Now I'm ready to make my slip stitch into the chain space, but I'm going to change colours because I've just worked 2 rows in the turquoise and I want to change back to the pink. So the slip stitch that I make into this chain space, I'm going to change colours and work it in the pink yarn. So I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving enough to darn in afterwards. And then with my pink yarn, I'm going to pop the hook into the 3 chain space, and with the pink yarn, pop it in the hook and pull that through, and that's made my slip stitch into the 3 chain space in the new colour to start off. So now I can quite simply make my 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, and make my 3 trebles. So that's 1, 2 and 3. And then I'm going to join it with a slip stitch to the next 3 chain space after the next 3 trebles. Now I'm just going to take a quick look at this and pop it on top of the original template that I've got, so you can see how the shape is coming along with this. So I'm just going to take it off the hook for a moment, and if I lay it on here now, you can see more clearly that when we were making the decrease rows up this side where the stitch marker was, we're getting the straight edge coming along here, and when we were continuing with the increasing rows, we were getting the elongated edge coming along here. And if I take my work off and pop it diagonally for you, you can see how I've been decreasing this side and increasing on this edge. But from now on, for both edges of the rows, we'll be working the decrease just like we did with the original corner to corner until we get back to the final point. So I'm going to work my row of corner to corner until I get to this point here. And again, I'm going to do another decrease with you just to remind you and get you into the flow of it. So I'll meet you back here at the end of the row. So I'm now ready to work my last set of 3 chains and 3 trebles into the chain space before I reach the edge of my row where I'm going to make another decrease. So I'm joining with the slip stitch, making my 3 chain, and then making my 3 trebles. So that's my first, my second, and my third. And then I just join with a slip stitch into this 3 chain space at the side of my work. And then I can just turn my work, and again I'm going to work 3 slip stitches along the top of the 3 trebles here. So that's my first slip stitch, my second slip stitch, and my third slip stitch. Then I'm going to slip stitch into the 3 chain space just at the side after my 3 trebles, and then again I'm back to making 3 chain and 3 trebles. So that's my second treble, and that is my third. So again, I'm going to carry on working this row just till I get to the last 3 chain space here where I'll work the last set of 3 trebles. So I'll just meet you back here in a moment. So I'm back again, ready to work my last set of 3 chain and 3 trebles in this 3 chain space just at the side here. And so I'm joining with my slip stitch as normal and making my 3 chains and my 3 trebles. And then I can just join with a slip stitch into the 3 chain space at the side of my work. Now I'm going to change colour again after this row, but I want to keep the pink colour going along till I get back to this point here. So I'm just going to turn my work and I'm going to slip stitch across into the top of those 3 trebles. So that's my second and that's my third. And then I'm going to make a slip stitch into that 3 chain space, but I'll change colour again, and I'm going to cut my yarn, allowing enough to darn in afterwards again. And then I'm going to make my slip stitch using the new colour. So I'm popping my hook through and then popping the new colour of yarn into the hook and making my slip stitch with that to get the seamless colour change. So now again I'm ready to make my 3 chain and 3 trebles, and then I can join with a slip stitch to the next 3 chain space. So you can now carry on decreasing at the end of each row until you only have 2 blocks left, and you've just got the final block to make to finish off that last corner point. You can see now that we only have 1 square left to do, and that's going to be in the pink again. So I'm going to turn my work and slip stitch into the top of the 3 trebles. So that's my first slip stitch, my second slip stitch, and then my third slip stitch. And then I've just got 1 square to make, but I'm going to change it into the pink colour for this. So I'm going to cut my yarn and I'm going to make the slip stitch in the 3 chain space with that pink colour. so that I get that seamless colour change one last time in the corner. So I'm just pulling that through to make the slip stitch. And now I can literally just make my final 3 chains and 3 trebles and join it up, and my rectangle is complete. So that's my second treble and my third treble. So all I need to do now is join with a slip stitch into the final 3 chain space at the side of my work, and then I can just cut my yarn and fasten off. And there we have it. We have our second corner to corner shape, which is now rectangular. So this method can be used for any size. All you need to do is work the standard corner to corner method, going outwards and increasing until you get the width of your rectangle. And after that, you're going to be working a decrease along one side edge and an increase along the other side of the edge until you reach your desired length, and then you can just decrease on both edges and that will bring you back to the corner. But I always think it's worth having a stitch marker along one side edge just to give you the indicator and the reminder of the side that you're going to be decreasing. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found it really helpful and that you go on to make corner to corner and you start to work your rectangular shapes with it. So for now, I'll just say don't forget to like and subscribe and click that notification bell, and enjoy your crocheting, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye!